Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's disastrous for a president to be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
Welcome to The Advocate. 5 panelists and 5 freshly baked topics. No holds barred. Speaking of freshly baked, Bolahan is advocating that we crank up the oven when it comes to our national budget. Is it a case of Oliver Twist? Chuka is equally dissatisfied with the state of things. This time, he's asking us to get an education. Folashade, our fresh advocate and doctor in the house, wants to bring us into the 21st century as concerns mental health. Ekene makes an assertion that Nigerians are one of the wonders of the world. I wonder how many Nigerians would agree with her. Our population explosion is fast becoming a wonder. However, I'll be taking this on after the break. If it isn't nipped in the bud, the slender sapling eventually becomes a towering tree. Nigeria's population explosion, that is my topic this week. Last week, President Muhammadu Buhari presented the 2019 economic budget to the National Assembly. Having looked at the various allocations, it is hard to see how this budget will make any real difference in the lives of the rapidly growing Nigerian population, especially with no noticeable increase in resources. It is therefore time to look closely at our population explosion if we are to significantly improve our living standards and economic growth and development. According to ResearchCyber.com, Nigeria is the 7th most populated country in the world, with an annual population growth of about 31 million, with China and India ahead. An unchecked increase in human population invariably leads to an unhealthy struggle for survival, as there are many mouths to provide food, clothing, housing, healthcare, and education for, with not enough resources. It is no surprise that malnutrition, overcrowding, crime, and low life expectancy are all on the increase. Some of the causes of rapid population growth in Nigeria include the following: poor family planning, illiteracy and ignorance, poverty, culture, religion, migration, urbanization, polygamy, and early marriage. There is therefore an urgent need for population control measures to a level that positively impacts our national development. Also desperately needed is mass education and awareness on population issues on a regular basis to let the public understand the effects of large families above family resources. There should be a significant increase in awareness on efficient and effective family planning methods, making them accessible, affordable, and feasible in order to encourage its use. And finally, there is need to encourage monogamy as against polygamy and discourage early marriage.
Interesting. I was trying to work out how monogamy might lead to less children than polygamy, because it's not a direct thing.
No,
I was thinking,
can you see the connection
though? Because I was just thinking to myself, if one woman went around different men, then it will end up
But that's not the norm.
Well, some have children.
Baby mama.
But, I was just wondering is it that what will happen is that many women will supposedly go unmarried, is what you're saying, Would rather leave some women on the shelf.
But you think that's why you have polygamy?
that's
No,
not
I'm just saying that those are the kind of things that will happen, of course. Because
Well, that's an interesting
if we
angle.
have polygamy, it means that there's women that want to be second, third, or fourth wives, not necessarily because they feel any low esteem or anything. It's just, I don't know, whatever. But what I'm saying is, it means that we will have women on the shelf. Now, is that another problem or is it okay?
Wow. Okay. That wasn't the angle I was going to come at you from.
Not
Socially, is it going to be another problem that we're going to deal with?
There is a numbers side to that,
Yes.
which is to say, what is the population of eligible men vis-a-vis the eligible women? If we don't even have that numbers, we cannot begin to take a call on what you're suggesting. But my worry is when you have an economy growing at 2% or 1.9%, and a population growing at 2.6, 2.7%, we will continue to throw more people in the pool of poverty because the population is growing faster than the resources that are required to support them. So that is very fundamental to the issue on the table.
I felt that really we need to be looking at it as a public health concern.
Right.
And it relates very much to what we're going to talk about later in terms of my concern around mental health. The issue is that there is an increased risk of mortality when a woman has more than 4 children. And I went to check the stats, and actually in this country, the average birth rate for women here is 5.5. So already you find out that there's increased mortality. Second thing I checked out is we actually have a national strategy on family planning and birth control, but I don't believe that it's been well articulated.
Exactly.
Apparently there was a commitment in 2012 where there was supposed to be a program that ended in 2020 with the aim that by 2018, 38% I believe of our female population should be using contraception. Now I have to say that I've not heard of that, and I'm a medic. And I wonder, therefore, how this is being articulated, how this is being rolled out on a state level, on an individual level. Also, the funding that goes with it. I was speaking to a pharmacist yesterday who said she actually educated me that family planning contraception is actually quite cheap. But the challenge becomes about our perception of that. She said she spoke to a woman who told her that, you have to get all the children out. For as long as she sleeps with her husband and she conceives, she believes that it's the right thing to have those children. So I think there needs to be, more work on rolling out or allowing everybody to know about this national strategy and psychoeducation.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll have a slightly different position to what I've heard so far. And clearly it's responsible to not just have children, but have a plan for your children. But I've always believed, and I will always believe, unless I'm given I don't think I'm likely to be convinced otherwise, that children are a blessing, and the more you have as many as you like. And I'm an advocate of have as many as you like, simply because I just see that human beings will never be the problem. It's how you equip those human beings to be an asset. Because at the end of the day, when we come to maybe other advocacies, we'll see that some of the ways you get revenue is by taxing the population. So if you have a large population and you empower them to be productive, they become your resource. They become an asset to you. And most people that have the population we have at an average of a youthful population will be excited because they'll think, wow, we have a human resource that people are looking for and begging for. The problem is we haven't invested in them. So I appreciate that where we are currently, it looks like the population is working against us rather than
working
for us.
Yes.
So yes, I think we should, in terms of public health and even social health, if you like, people should be made to appreciate that human resource, and having a child is a blessing, and somehow grow your when you're having a child, you look for ways to invest in that child from the get-go, make sacrifices. When I see people sending their children out to beg on the streets, I'm saying, what parents, even if you were poor, will send your child out to beg and then you stay at home? Somehow the police should follow those children to the house and make those parents accountable for the children they're having. So I just feel you don't even have to have more than 2 children to show neglect for the 1 or 2 children. So I want to look at more of the sense of responsibility towards the children rather than, because I think at the end of the day it's good to say, look, inform people, let them make an informed choice, but I'm not an advocate for take away that choice or impose a restriction on their ability to have as many children as they want.
I think from my advocacy I wasn't trying to take away from any, it was really just putting in measures. I think more about educating people so they can make the right choices. We had a cook who had 11 children, and he's not able to send, there's only one child that's going to school out of the 11 children.
Wow.
And that child, he's not even the one that's paying for that child to go to school. And then he has all these boys that do nothing but turn to crime and just cause, because they're not working. So, and when, you know, my aunt, who's a nurse, spoke to this cook and said, you know, have you considered family planning and things that, he was like, what is that? You know, it's so that mindset is not even there for many families, and they're just producing all these children. And when you ask them, who's going to take care of this? They say, God. God
Yeah.
meaning the rest of
The
us,
rest of us,
obviously,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's how it's going to happen. No problem at all. But the point is, make informed choices. Don't bring children into the world so that they can become beggars for you. You know, don't bring them into the world so that you can use them as a way to increase your revenue. Sacrifice, like you said, for your children.
Yeah.
I really don't care how many children people have. Just don't
Take care of them.
Yeah, take
Have
care
a
of them,
plan.
and then don't make them a burden on society. Don't make them criminals, because effectively that's what they end up being when they're not working. or going to school.
However, because of the situation we find ourselves in today, that the country isn't working, much as I would love to agree with Ekene, I have to say that for now, we
have
must
to
put
check
in
it.
measures. You know, there's such a thing as you put in measures. This man has just closed the borders. I don't think he's going to close them forever, but he thinks he's doing a good thing, and he's closing it for a reason. So we have to do something now, and we can release it later, and you can have the 7 you want. You know?
All right. Well, advocacy is also about foresight and prevention. Interestingly, Bolahan looks at another angle of the population and provision challenge. He says it's time to bake a bigger cake. Interesting.